GDP numbers are now finally out, and it has left a lot of people wondering whether India's economy is finally out of the woods, because you can see that the contraction in the economy, the shrinking of the economy, the loss of business in the economy has reduced considerably from 23.9% in the first quarter, almost 24%, to just about 7.5% in the second quarter. And so it makes you wonder whether we are heading towards better times. So let's break this down for you very simply about what is working for India and what is not working for India right now. The contraction in second quarter was not as bad as what most analysts had predicted. 7.5% is substantially lower than most analyst predictions of between 9 and some even said 12% contraction for the second quarter. And so we could expect that by the third quarter we will still shrink, and by the fourth quarter we could get back to level 0, in which case it will still be pre-COVID level, and it's only in financial year 21-22 that we could expect the growth to come back into the Indian economy, depending on how consumption holds out, how exports hold out, how private investment holds out, and how public expenditure, the government, whether it has the finances and the ability to push through public expenditure. So all of these factors will finally decide whether 21-22 is the fiscal to look forward to, or it's going to be beyond that. Other key indicators, unemployment is still way beyond the 7% mark. As of this week it is 7.5%, in fact worse than it was at the end of October, which was 6.98%. and if you look at the retail sales of automobiles, which was another good indicator if at all it had sustained, are substantially lower than the sales of automobiles from factories to the dealers. So dealers are getting pumped by the manufacturers by pushing the sales numbers to the dealers, but they are not holding out when it comes to the consumer. Sales to the consumer are not as robust as they are for sales from factories to the dealers. We are still shrinking as an economy, which means businesses are shutting down, jobs are being lost, and economy is still contracting. And this state of the economy is likely to continue in the current quarter, which is the third quarter, and only in the fourth quarter can we expect at least getting back to the pre-COVID levels of the economy, which unfortunately is not wasn't a very healthy situation for the Indian economy either, because that was the state of the economy which was also the lowest point in our economic history, in our recent economic history, of a debilitating, decelerating slowdown for the past 16 quarters. So even if we get back to the positive territory, it will still be at the lowest point in our recent economic history. Air passenger traffic is down 60%. It's only recovered about 40% of what it was in the pre-COVID level. So we have a long way to go. The things to watch out for are GST numbers, which will be coming in a few days from now, and GST numbers are going to indicate whether there is a robust recovery, because the September numbers, which were declared in October, also included numbers of deferred GST payments. So a lot of that had got clubbed together in the September numbers, and so this month's numbers, the October numbers being declared in November, will really give us an indicator of whether GST's growth is sustaining. Consumer confidence is low. Even things like power consumption, for instance, power consumption in June and in August was higher than it is in October. So power consumption, which is being shown as an example of, which is being considered an example of higher industrial activity, it's actually not holding out. June had better power consumption, and as I said, August also had better power consumption than it is in October. Data of the 8 core industries that was also declared alongside the GDP numbers isn't very encouraging either, because the data for October shows that it's actually worse than September. In October, 8 core industries shrank by 2.5% as opposed to just 1% in September. Services sector continues to lag, and it's not the sector that needs to be blamed. It's the very stringent lockdown that was necessary perhaps, but which has caused the sector to grind to a halt. So whether you look at construction, whether it is hotels, tourism, travel, or whether it is financial services, even government's own investments have slowed down considerably. So services sector coupled with public administration expenses have brought down the growth, not brought down, in fact it has continued to shrink the Indian economy, and our economy still shrank about 7.5% in the second quarter, April to June quarter, as opposed to 23.9% shrinkage in quarter 1 of this fiscal 2021. This makes us the second worst performing economy right now among major economies in the world after UK. UK has still shrunk in the July to September quarter, has still shrunk 9.5%. China is the only economy that has grown and has continued to grow very robustly in the second quarter as it did in the first quarter.